People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time. Now people, Emery has had something to say about Lucas Torreira. Before I say my opinions or how I feel, because quite frankly, Emery has been peeing me off and is peeing me off with these comments, I think I might as well just better yet read them off, and give them to you. The first outlet where I saw the comments, Grugit AFC, good little Arsenal account that does all the Arsenal news, he said, Emery on Torreira, he was playing good last year. This year, he's not being consistent, but my challenge to him is to improve, to do better with some tactical issues on the pitch, but above all, being consistent. I showed him some movies about his best performances with us and how he can improve. He is young. His process here is starting. He started playing in the Premier League last year and he progressed, but this year he needs to progress again. He can play as a defensive midfielder, but we need a defensive midfielder to be offensive, because to build up play for us is very important. At the moment, he's in that process. He can learn and improve, but he needs time. And it's gone on to say, let me see if there's, he's gone on to say, people, Torreira played well last year. This year, he's not been consistent. My challenge to him is to improve, to do better with tactical issues. He can play the role of a defensive midfielder, but we need a defensive midfielder to be offensive. He said, I spoke... it's more or less the same comments, people. That pees me off really and truly, because I get it. If you want your players to evolve, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with... For me, Torreira's a DM, but there's nothing wrong with him playing in a more box-to-box role. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's chalk and cheese. I don't disagree with Emery's comments about building play, because I think Torreira can do that more. I think Torreira has that in his locker. That's probably why Xhaka plays. I said that Torreira and Guendouzi, they can do what Xhaka does. Not to bring Xhaka into this, but just because I can't see what Xhaka offers the team consistently, I think Torreira can do that. Maybe he wants to see it come out of Torreira a bit more, then cool. But I don't understand this, man. It's like, it's chalk and cheese. That doesn't make no sense. Nobody understands a word of that really in this process and this process. He hasn't been consistent because you haven't... In fact, before I get on to bashing Emery to a degree, one thing I'll give him credit for, not even credit, but looking back in hindsight, maybe Torreira's head was turned at the start of the season. He clearly is happy in London, but is unhappy and would welcome a move elsewhere. So maybe his head wasn't in the right place, on top of fatigue in Copa America. Maybe that's why he wasn't playing. But if you want a man to be consistent, play him in his best position. It's not rocket science. You can't have a man as a 10 and expect him to thrive in there. Like, it's not going to happen for Torreira. It's chalk and cheese. Play the man in his best position, let him get his confidence and his consistency back from doing that, and then you evolve, because you're damaging players. Torreira's, for some reason, Torreira just looks like his head's gone anyways, even with the Xhaka stuff. Torreira's head's gone. I don't disagree with playing Maitland-Niles at right back if the squad's there, but apparently Maitland-Niles even said, can you stop playing me here? Psychologically, it's damaging me. That's what reports online have said, whether they're true or not. You're damaging your players psychologically because you're setting them up to fail. It's like it's chalk and cheese, and for me it's not encouraging on the eve of playing Southampton to hear the manager saying this and that. Like, I get if you want him to evolve as a player, but it doesn't make sense, people. It really doesn't. As much as I feel Torreira, his head might not be in the right place, a big reason as to why he's not being Torreira of last season is because, one, you're not playing him. Two, when you're playing him, you're not playing him in his role. Three, you actually just haven't figured out what you want in midfield, because last season Torreira was doing great, but similar to Koscielny in his prime, rather than praise them for being part of a great defence and great of the team, we're praising, like Koscielny, when he was the best. You know, when we used to get battered in the Champions League and he was one of the only best players on the field. Last season, that was for me Torreira to a degree, purely because there's just so much madness going on the field and we're just in so much disarray. Because he's there putting out fires, he looks good. You look at Torreira in the Uruguay squad to the Arsenal squad, he's putting out fires here. His job is to simply break down play over there, where clearly there's similarities, but there's more of a system. I don't think Emery knows what he wants to do in midfield, and the whole Xhaka thing has complicated it more, because you've got Guendouzi. I've said it before, Guendouzi's a lovely player. I think he's going to be a great player in the future, but it now comes down to obviously a lot of it is on Guendouzi, but if Emery is still the manager, what specific midfielder do you want him to be? Deep lying, box to box. You get me? You hear what I'm saying? Joe Willock the same. Joe Willock looks disillusioned at times because he doesn't know his role. That's nothing to do with him. It looks like he's genuinely not giving any tactical nous out there. Torreira, our midfield is a joke, people. As much as our defence and wide positions and all of these things as to why we lose games, our midfield, we get overworked, overran consistently, and there's no real tactics in there, whether we're playing a pivot or a free, and these things don't encourage me. He's talking about the process and he's showing Torreira movies. You don't need to show Torreira movies. Just play the man as a 6. Play the man in his position. Like, when you play him in his position and the team's doing well, then you can evolve players and look for inspiration, I guess, from what Conte initially tried to do with Kante. But we are in a poor form. We're in poor form. Just play him as part of the pivot, make him the more defensively minded man, and that's cool. And I do think Torreira can show stuff offensively, because when he was playing last season, you look at some of the goals, he might not necessarily have the assist, people, but he's been part of the move. Do you get it? And to be fair, playing in this hybrid role Emery's got him in, I'm sure he's chipped in with 2 goals, one against Liverpool, and it might have even been 2 against Liverpool, I don't even know, but that's not Torreira. Torreira clearly is having a hard time adjusting to London life and not playing, but these comments aren't going to give you any inspiration, because I do think Emery's losing the players. I don't know, that's just me as a fan, but I can't genuinely see, if you're being played out of position, your friends are being played out of position, you can't understand the man's tactics, you don't really believe in him, you can't really see what he's doing in training from a fan's point of view, he's going to lose the dressing room, people. It's not going to go well, people. So the most you can do is to help us get back in form and go on a winning run, play man in their best positions where they feel most confident, so we can at least beat Southampton, at least try against Norwich, at least try against Brighton. God's grace, we do something against City, but we're not. For me, I don't have nothing wrong with him experimenting and trying to evolve Torreira. What I do is the frustration I have is at this moment in time, we need to go back to basics, play man in their best positions, and we move forward from there. And it's bewildering hearing sometimes his logic. He's talking about processes and movies and all of these things. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, Emery, get real now. I know you don't even believe in these movies or Premiere Pro clips you're putting together. Like, it's frustrating. The boys better win today, people. They better win. Like, you can see what Arsenal is doing to a guy, man. Look, I remember buying this a few weeks ago. Make sure you get your Las Olas and that, people. But this will be done by the time we play Southampton, and I like, come on, man. Like, the Premier League's back, but it doesn't fill me with any confidence, because as well, it's not like other midfielders have been shining to the point where you can't play Torreira. Like, I don't know. Clearly, you've changed your mind on something with Torreira. I'd love to know. Guendouzi's a favoured player. You had love for Xhaka. Xhaka's not there. Torreira's playing by default. He's also said Torreira has a big future here and things like that. But I do think the likes of Torreira, potentially Mesut Ozil and the rest of them, are actually waiting to see what's going on with Unai Emery's future, to be fair with you. Looking back as well, people, or touching on some other things I found online quickly. Let me find it. Apparently, people, the Telegraph reported, although Unai Emery eventually got the job, Arsenal... so let me start that again, man. Although Unai Emery eventually got the job, got the AFC job, it is understood he did not even feature on the original shortlist, which was headed by Arteta. Some senior staff at Arsenal certainly thought Arteta had the job. Should this, as appears likely to be Emery's final season, then Arteta may well be in the frame again. Although he is believed to have been surprised at the way he was eventually overlooked at the time, people. Apparently, Raul Sanllehi is back in Emery and not listening to the noise. There also have been other reports coming out online that Arteta was close to it. We're told that Ivan Gazidis was largely behind Emery's appointment, but apparently he didn't want Emery, he wanted Arteta, and there's been some politics in regards to that. Now, this is all hearsay, all paper talk, people inventing their own stories, but if Emery genuinely wasn't on that shortlist, and how has he ended up as manager? And you take shortcuts, you make mistakes, you do not plan, you are made to pay for them. I said it when Emery came to this club. He scares me and excites me. He's a very good tactician, but he's also a tinkerman. Out of all the top 6 managers, I do believe he's got the least credentials to be a top 6 manager, because he doesn't stand true to his principles. The man said it, chameleon team, forever changing, and it is, again, I'm not calling him a coward, but his teams do go out there cowardly. As much as I want Emery to turn it around and want him to be a success at this club, I very rarely get the feeling that Emery truly wants to win a game of football. And when we strip football down to the basics, people, is football not 22 players trying to put the ball in the net more times than the opposition or the rivals, or whatever you want to call them? I don't get the vibe Emery wants to. I'm not even necessarily saying outscore teams, necessarily win a game of football. football. He mentions it in his pre and post games, but I never get the vibe from how he sets up teams and how he clearly works on them week in, week out, that he wants to go out there and win a football match. He's very reactive. He's nothing close to proactive, and that was Wenger's downfall, and it's been Emery's downfall. Being reactive, and not being proactive. Away form and just obviously consistency are three highlighted areas that someone that was talking about video analysis when he came into the role should have been able to identify. Emery has done nothing but flattered to deceive at this club, and we've been made to pay for it, people. So on that note, I'm going to get out of here. People, deluded. Thank you for watching and rocking.